Hi everyone, and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, you're greatly welcomed. This is a channel where I talk about life in general, my experience with it, and how we can all make life a much more enjoyable and pleasant experience overall. Talk a lot about all kinds of things in here, real history, spirituality, esoteric things, all kinds of stuff. It's mostly about knowledge, really. The good type of knowledge. I want to talk about discipline today and how important it really is for pretty much everything that we decide to do in our lives as we go through this journey. Discipline is a very, very powerful thing, but there is something that we need to put behind discipline to make it even more powerful and better. And what is that exactly? Well, that is will. You can call it willpower. So let me tell you a little story about myself. Never in my life have I used alarm clocks for anything to wake up. I just tell myself the day before whatever time I need to wake up the next morning, and it has never failed me. It works great because I put forth the will, the intention behind the action before it actually happens, and it just works. And there's really nothing special about that, and it's not a secret formula or anything. So what I'm trying to say is that if I can do it, anyone can. This is the type of stuff that it's easy to do, but you have to have the will to do it. The will is what actually, it's the energy, the motivation behind the intention, and then it just happens just like that. I used to smoke when I was younger, probably about between the ages of 26 and more like after my 20s. I smoked, not all the time, on and off, but as I got a little older, I think it was about 26 or so, I I smoked for a couple of years or so. And I remember like it was yesterday, because it's been a while. I'm in my almost in my mid 50s now. So, but I remember that the prices of cigarettes here in the U.S. were getting pretty expensive, and I'm talking about before the year 2000. So we're talking about 25 years here at least. And I was like, you know what? I can make better use of my money than wasting on these damn cigarettes. Because back then, I was already like, nah, this is too much money to be wasted. I'd rather use the money on something else. So that's what I did. And although I wasn't like a chain smoker that was smoking 2 packs a day or anything like that, um, a pack probably would last me, I'm gonna say, 3 days, four maybe. So yeah, maybe you can say I wasn't a um, I don't know if you could say that you wouldn't consider that a real smoker, maybe a casual smoker, whatever, you know. But when I decided to stop smoking, I just did. And I told myself, I'm done with this. And I went full cold turkey and nothing happened. I had no withdrawals, no nothing. And again, that was thanks to willpower. So willpower is this thing that we all have, that I think it's an inherent part of the human soul, our soul. I think some of these things, they come straight from the soul. And that is why they have so much power and impact that can make huge changes and shifts on our lives. And this will is powerful. This will is really what makes a person or breaks a person. Because people who lack the will to do things before they even try, they just got to a point in their lives that they weaken themselves. And then they start living their lives, sort of like with this feeble, weak mentality about themselves and the things that they can or cannot do, because they convince themselves that, they can't do certain things for whatever reason. And obviously for every person, it's going to be a different case, different scenario, different circumstances, but there is always a reason, a root cause behind why people don't see themselves as being capable of doing certain things. And this is all stuff that's in your mind. Your mind is lying to you. You're lying to yourself. You're fooling yourself. Because there isn't anything in this world that you cannot do if you don't put your mind, heart, soul into it with real intent, real purpose. And all of these things, they come from your will to do things. Because it's easy for a person to convince themselves that they can't do certain things before they have even set out to try to do whatever that thing is, that it came up into their minds that maybe I can do this. No, don't maybe yourself. You know that famous quote from the Star Wars movie, The Empire Strikes Back, where Luke is training with Yoda, and Luke is like, oh, this is too hard. I can't do this. He's trying to lift his ship from the swamp, with the Force, and then he gets it halfway up, and then he fails and he can't do it, and then Yoda goes and does the whole thing, and then he tells Luke, he says, do or do not. There is no try. And the moral of the story, behind that phrase is that when you're doubting yourself before you even gave it a shot, before you even tried it, you've already defeated yourself. So might as well not even try it. Because before you even are putting out the intention of trying to do that thing that you are setting yourself out to do, you're already denying yourself and telling yourself that you can't do it. And that's why you won't be able to do it. It's that simple. Now, if you go into that same situation with the mindset that I am going to do this no matter what period, then you will do it. It will work. Because it's the intention and the will that is behind that intention that is actually going to make that thing happen. Whatever that thing is, it doesn't matter what it is. What matters is we have these inherent abilities, powers, so to speak, energies that our soul has, that if we tap into that by doing these things, then everything is possible. There's no such thing that you can't do it. That's programming. That's conditioning. That's what we've all been told our whole lives, to keep us small, to dim our light, our power, our strength, our love for ourselves. That's what that phrase, to have the faith to move mountains, means. So there's a lot of metaphors and allegories in a lot of like sacred scriptures and ancient texts when they're talking about, whatever it is, religion, knowledge, ancient wisdom, and all these things. And there's always a message between the lines, if it's not like something that is very obvious from reading it, because a lot of the times that's how these things are written. It's like they're like parable, and they're like, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, basically that's what it is. You have to build that discipline. First, there has to be a will, because without will, the discipline will fail. And what is discipline? Discipline is basically practice. You have to practice something until you master it. How does a musician become good at, playing an instrument? Even if they are born with the gift. There's a lot of young musicians there these days. It's all over YouTube, kids that are like 5, 6 years old playing instruments like they've known it their whole lives. Why do you think that they know these things? Well, first, they have a memory that they carry from a past life, so they remember a lot of it. And then second, as soon as they come here and they are able to walk and move and stuff, they will, grab an instrument and start playing it. And they will practice 6, 7, 8 hours a day until they master it. And it's like that with anything in life. An occupation that you have, that you do something for a living, or whatever it is that you want to set yourself out to do. A person can have a beautiful voice, but if they never try singing, how will they know if they can be a good singer, right? Dancing, being an athlete, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. What matters is we have to build the discipline through practice. And then behind all that, as the baseline for all of it, the energy that will get that all into motion and going, that's your will, your willpower. So that is what I mean by discipline is a matter of will. And that's all you have to do. And then you're golden. There is nothing else more to it. So this is all that I have for this video. And if you like the content, please like, share, subscribe. It helps the channel grow, reach more people, and I really appreciate that. And I will catch you all next time, my friends. So be safe, take care, much love.